ask this question directly because it will save you a lot of time and a lot of heartache. Do you feel comfortable talking about hormones and hormone therapy? You're listening to It's Your Turn with Shari Berry. I'm Shari, a national board certified health and wellness coach, best-selling author, speaker, and creator of the Calm Method. Each week, this show is about taking your turn in midlife, embracing new purpose, new passions, and new possibilities. New episodes drop weekly, so be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. Now, let's get started. Do you remember the talk? Fifth grade, fluorescent lights. The boys went to one room and we went to another. Someone's mom came in, or maybe it was the school nurse or a teacher. Mine was Mrs. Carter, I think. There was a video, there was a pamphlet, there were diagrams nobody wanted to look at directly. And if you were a reader, maybe you found your way to Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Remember that book? Or later, maybe What to Expect When You're Expecting, which at least told you what was coming most of the time, chapter by chapter, month by month. But then we hit midlife, perimenopause and menopause, and nobody gave us that book. Our mothers really didn't talk about it. Our grandmothers certainly didn't. There was a phrase, the change. That was it. Said quietly, if at all. Like it was something to just get through, not something to understand. And so most of us arrived here completely unprepared. Something is finally changing. The good news is that it's starting to shift. The market is flooded with books about perimenopause and menopause right now, and it's about time. Women are writing about their own experiences. Researchers and doctors are finally centering around women's health. And the conversation that should have been happening for decades is getting louder. Curious doctors are trying to catch up. There are practitioners out there who are really interested in this space, who have done the additional training on women's health, who will sit with you and actually look at the whole picture. And the ones who say, I don't do this, or that's not really my area, that's okay as long as they're not dismissing you. You're allowed to know that, and you're allowed to keep looking and find the person who can help you through this time when it comes to your medical care. But here's the problem. For most of us, that shift came too late. We'd already spent years wondering what was wrong with us, going to appointments and leaving with more questions than answers, trying harder, adjusting everything, and still feeling off in ways we couldn't name. So today, I'm really passionate about thinking about, let's talk about this, the talk we should have had years ago. And from a perspective that if we're comfortable talking about it, we're going to be comfortable talking about it with our friends without laughing and joking about it, but also with our daughters too, so they know and they're prepared. So what is perimenopause actually? And before I jump into that, everything I share on this show comes from my perspective as a national board health and wellness coach. It is informational purposes only, and it's not intended for medical or mental health advice. So please always consult a qualified healthcare practitioner or a mental health professional with any questions about your health. So perimenopause is the transition period before menopause, and it can begin as early as your late 30s, though for most women, it starts in the early to mid 40s, and it can last anywhere from a few years to more than a decade. Menopause itself is defined as one full year without a menstrual period. Everything leading up to that point is perimenopause. So during this time, this is also known as the zone of chaos because estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone levels begin to really fluctuate. And these hormones don't just affect your reproductive system, they affect your brain, your sleep, your mood, your metabolism, your cardiovascular system, your joints, your skin. You may not need to be told that, but when they start to shift, you feel it everywhere. I don't know, I don't have to say this, but you won't feel it in just one place. And maybe no one's connected that for you until now. So let's talk about the hormones and what they do, because these words get thrown around a lot, but it helps to actually know what they do. And just, I'm going to give a very basic explanation. This is for sure, much more information is on this. But let's just start with estrogen. And this is one we've all heard of. And it plays a role in your menstrual cycle, yes, but it helps you regulate your sleep, your mood, your memory, your cardiovascular health, your bone density, and the elasticity of your skin and joints. Estrogen is anti inflammatory. So when we lose it, what happens? We lose that response. So when estrogen fluctuates, you feel it in all these places, not just one. Let's talk about progesterone, which works alongside estrogen and has a really important relationship with sleep and anxiety. It has a natural calming effect on your nervous system. So when progesterone drops, which happens earlier in the menopause transition than most women realize, sleep gets lighter and anxiety can quietly creep in. Then testosterone, which is not just a male hormone. We think of all these hormones as just men or women, but they're not. Men and women have all of them. So testosterone, women have it too, and it matters because it contributes to energy, motivation, libido, and muscle strength. And when it declines, women often describe feeling flat, less driven, or more physically fatigued than you used to feel. Now, something to understand, these three are not operating separately. They're in constant conversation with one another. And when one shifts, the others respond. And because they touch so many systems in the body, the symptoms can feel completely unrelated when they're actually all coming from the same place. So, one more I want to mention here because it will make sense when it comes up: serotonin. Serotonin is often called the feel good chemical. It plays a major role in mood, emotional stability, and sleep. And most women don't know that estrogen helps regulate serotonin production. So when the estrogen is fluctuating there, serotonin can too. And this is why mood shifts happen: irritability, a new or worsening sense of anxiety during perimenopause that you may think or be told this is just in your head. It's not. It's a direct hormonal pathway underneath all of these things going on. So let's talk about some of the signs maybe nobody named for you, because it's more than hot flashes. Sleep is one of them. One of the most common early signs is disrupted sleep. And it's not the kind of where you sleep where you can't fall asleep. It's where you wake up at 3 a.m. and you can't get back to sleep. Or when you sleep a full night and you still feel exhausted. Women often chalk this up to stress or busy minds. Sometimes it is, but often it's hormonal. Let's talk about mood and anxiety. Increased anxiety, irritability, mood shifts that feel really out of proportion to what's actually happening. I remember a friend telling me, my husband's chewing drives me crazy. And we can all chuckle about that, but it is. Women tell me they feel like they're overreacting, and they can't stop it. They feel like they're losing their patience in ways that aren't like them. Estrogen has a direct relationship with serotonin, and when it fluctuates, so does your mood. Another one is brain fog, forgetting words mid sentence, walking into a room and forgetting why, feeling like your thinking is slower than it used to be. I describe this as feeling really heavy to make decisions or focus. This is one of the most distressing symptoms, too, because we often worry something is seriously wrong. And for most of us, it's hormonal, and it tends to improve after this whole chaotic time. But it is something to discuss with your practitioner, because a lot of times we start thinking, oh, could this be dementia or Alzheimer's? But and you may go down that path if you have a family history. Again, something to discuss with your practitioner. But looking at the hormones that are running the show on some of these things could be a cause. Weight changes is another area. Weight gain, particularly around the midsection, even when nothing in your eating or your exercise habits maybe has changed. Estrogen affects how your body stores fat. So when it declines, the body tends to shift storage around the belly, the abdomen. Now, many of us might start thinking this is a failure on our part, willpower, or I should be able to do this better. I should be able to eat better. I know what I need to do, but I'm not doing it. It's biology here, it's physiological change that's happening. So we need to be gentle with ourselves here. Temperature regulation, we often connect this with the hot flashes, but also those night sweats or suddenly feeling cold or a general sense that your body is running on a really unpredictable thermostat. These vary enormously from women to women, and some barely notice them. Others are waking up soaked every night. So if this is you, this could be some of the signs here. Physical changes. Let's talk about joint aches, especially in the morning. Maybe you haven't woke up with that and all of a sudden you just can't get out of bed because you hurt so bad. I hear often, and this is related to the work my husband does as a physician in osteopathic medicine, is musculoskeletal issues, frozen shoulder, chronic hip pain. These are all related. Changes in skin texture and dryness, heart palpitations that feel alarming, but they're often benign, hair thinning or changes in hair texture, urinary changes like more urgency or frequency. It hurts when you have sex. These are all on the list and they're rarely talked about. So we need to bring these to the light. And then one more thing I want to often mention, because this is an area I talk about a lot, is that emotional and identity shifts. It's a growing sense of restlessness that happens. You question whether the life you've built is still the one you want, feeling like you're changing in ways you can't fully articulate. These aren't just midlife crisis, if you will. They're hormones. Our hormones influence how we relate to ourselves and our lives. So we have to remember that this transition is not just physical, but it's emotional, and it's often tied to our identities too. So, what do we do with all this? I want to name something, and something that often is in the spotlight, the media spotlight right now, especially, is hormone therapy, because it will likely come up in your conversation. And these are individual health considerations that should be a decision between you and your practitioner, who actually knows your full picture, or a practitioner that is educated in this area here. Hormone therapy is not for everyone. It depends on your risk benefits. So, this is an individual health consideration. You deserve an educated and compassionate conversation around it, not a dismissal, not a one size fits all conversation. It's really a real conversation. So, I want to give you some tips here. There's 4 ways that you can go prepared to your appointment. And I just want to remind you, if you haven't had an appointment, a doctor's appointment lately, and you're having some of these symptoms, book that appointment, book the time. If you're not sure who the provider is, that's another conversation, and I'll share a resource here shortly. But I have gotten to know quite a few menopause focused, trained focused practitioners. So that's something we can discuss, or if you have questions, reach out. Something we go much deeper in the Nourish You and Reclaim You coaching programs I have. But first, write down your symptoms before you go in. And this is be specific, not just I'm tired, but try something like, if it's specific like this, I wake up between 2 and 4, 3 times a week, and I cannot get back to sleep. And this has been happening for 6 months. It's really hard to wave off when someone is being specific. So that's number 1. Number 2, ask this question directly, because it will save you a lot of time and a lot of heartache. Do you feel comfortable talking about hormones and hormone therapy? That one question tells you a lot, whether your provider that you have sitting in front of you is the right provider for this conversation. Third, if the answer is no, or you feel dismissed, that is information. Curious doctors are out there, and they are training themselves, learning, they're looking for, and they're staying up on the most recent education and research around menopause and perimenopause and women's health in general. So, one resource I can offer to you today is the Menopause Society. And if you go to menopause.org, they have a tool specifically designed to help you find a certified menopause practitioner in your area. And that's a real resource. And I'll put the link to it in the show notes, so you have that. That's probably one of the most common things when I'm having conversations with women, is to find the right practitioner. And there's a lot of work sometimes to be done around it. I know in my own case, it took me 2 people to find the right person. Some people have said 5, some 7, some 9. So this is getting better, but it still is one of those that we have to do some research on and find the right provider. And number 4, I want you to know that normal lab results do not mean nothing is wrong. Hormones levels really fluctuate during perimenopause, and we have to remember that. And if you don't know this, it's a very big zone of chaos. So one blood test on one specific day does not tell you the whole picture. Certainly, if your practitioner wants to get a baseline, there's that. But being dismissed and saying your labs are normal doesn't mean the next day they're all in a different direction. So you're allowed to say, I hear that my labs look normal, and I still want to understand why I feel this way. So remember, we didn't get the book on this. Now there are many books out there, but we can have this conversation starting right now. So all of this, I want to wrap up in a final couple of thoughts here. Lifestyle habits matter more than you think. And here's what I know from working with women in this season. The cycle that keeps most midlife women stuck isn't from a lack of trying. It's trying things that weren't built for where you are right now. you're starting over every Monday, or you're feeling bloated and achy and wondering what you're doing wrong, looking for the next best thing because nothing has stuck. So this, I mentioned the wellness industry, that gap that exists. We're trying products, we're trying different things. But what I really want to anchor here for you is lifestyles, habits matter more than we give it credit to. You have control over this. But as a health coach, I wanted to just explain because not everybody knows what a health coach is. I find that often is, can you tell me what the difference is here? I'm trained as a health coach and a life coach together. A health coach, but from my role as a health coach, my role is not to prescribe or diagnose. It's here to help you connect the dots between what is going on in your body, what your body is telling you, and the daily habits, the rhythms, and the choices that can actually support it. There's a big gap between the doctor's office and home, and trying to do that can be very difficult navigating it on their own. So that's where a health coach, whether it's me or someone else, that's where they can help you. And one of those things I specifically have pulled into my programs is talking about beliefs, because beliefs are the things that we carry around and they're running on autopilot underneath all of this. They're the beliefs you carry around about your body, about food, your relationship with food, about rest, about whether you've even deserved to slow down. Beliefs like my body is broken, or I have no willpower, or I'll take care of myself when things slow down, or the quiet one underneath all of it is a lot of times it's too late, or I don't know that I can feel any different than this. And I just want to shine a light on this because you can have all the information in the world and still stay stuck. And if the belief underneath it all is saying nothing is going to work, that's also where the support matters. Having someone in your corner who can help you recognize when you're getting stuck and help you move through it rather than giving up and starting over, that changes everything. Many women will come to me and say, this should be so simple. It's so simple. Why can't I do it? Well, change is hard. And a lot of times it's these beliefs that we're running that slow us down or have us stuck. It's was evident in my whole life and something I recognize even more. And that's something we do. This is exactly why I built the two specific coaching programs I run. One is called Nourish You, and the other one is called Reclaim You. Now, Nourish You is coming up, and I want to mention this because we're going to run a cohort in September. It's a 4-week supported, really reset for midlife women where we work on these basic habits and the beliefs that come together. We don't go on diets. It's not a rigid protocol. We find what works for you around food, movement, rest, because you have to have some nervous system regulation. And no other program out there will do that. So, a real supported experience where you can have a coach and a community in your corner while you do it. So, women often come in feeling very disconnected and exhausted, but they leave with steadier energy, more self-trust, habits that finally stick because they had the support to make them stick. And for women who want to go even deeper, Reclaim You is my 12-week signature program where that work continues. So September, Nourish You is open. The link I'm going to put in the show notes here. And if this is something you're interested in or you have questions, reach out to me. I do offer a 15-minute curiosity call or clarity call where we can get on and just kind of talk if you feel like maybe this is what you're looking for, you're not sure. But it's something that's very brief and it's a no pressure call. I know after working with many clients that if you're not ready for it, I can tell. I can hear it in the words you're using, the voice, and I'm not going to pressure you to do something you don't want to do. So, back to if this episode helped you see your own experiences differently, there are a few other steps you can take. The midlife spark type quiz is a good next step. So if you haven't taken that, you can find out whether you are a giver, a reclaimer, or a seeker. And the thing that I love about this, it helps you understand where you are right now and what your body and your life need right now. So those links are in the show notes. And I just want to say thank you for spending the time with me today. If something in this episode really hits your heart, share it with a woman in your life right now who may need to hear it as well. This period of time, perimenopause and menopause, can feel like a very lonely time. And so we want to be sure that I want you to know you're not alone. So until next time, keep taking your turn.